Welcome to This Week in Aviation, brought to you by AviatorDB. I'm Mark Preston. A United 767 strikes a highway light pole on approach to Newark, now upgraded to an NTSB accident investigation. And a wave of general aviation accidents across the U.S. and worldwide claims multiple lives in just the past month. We begin with that United Airlines approach incident that turned out to be far more serious than initially reported. United Flight 169 from Venice was on final approach to Newark's runway 29 when it flew dangerously low over the New Jersey Turnpike. The 767-400ER struck a highway light pole and clipped the roof of a bakery delivery truck roughly 700 feet before the displaced threshold. Debris from the aircraft, including a landing gear tire, damaged the truck and a Jeep on the highway below. The truck driver sustained minor injuries. All 221 passengers and 10 crew members aboard the Boeing widebody landed without injury. The NTSB has now officially classified this May 3rd occurrence as an accident, triggering a full federal investigation. Both the NTSB and FAA are examining why the aircraft flew so far below its expected glide path. Investigators are analyzing the vertical profile data, the displaced threshold configuration, and the precision approach path indicator settings for runway 29. Industry analysts note the crew appears to have been flying an ARNAV visual approach procedure, which is known for tight obstacle clearance margins. United Airlines has removed the flight crew from service pending the investigation's outcome. The NTSB has requested cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder information from the aircraft. Investigators will examine whether the visual approach procedure provided adequate terrain and obstacle clearance guidance. The displaced threshold at Newark adds complexity, as pilots transitioning from precision ILS approaches may carry different altitude expectations into visual procedures. This accident highlights the minimal margins between normal operations and catastrophe at major airports surrounded by dense infrastructure. A preliminary report is expected within 30 days. Next, we turn to the NTSB's public hearings on last year's deadly UPS cargo crash. The National Transportation Safety Board held 2 days of public hearings last month, examining the fatal UPS MD-11F crash that killed 15 people. On November 4th, 2025, UPS Flight 2976 suffered structural failure during takeoff. The aircraft's left engine separated from the wing, causing the MD-11 freighter to crash. All 3 crew members died, along with 12 people on the ground. During the May 19th and 20th hearings in Washington, investigators presented evidence of a catastrophic pylon failure. Experts detailed a history of bearing fractures in the MD-11F fleet that led to load redistribution throughout the engine mounting structure. The NTSB's preliminary findings identify fatigue cracks in the pylon aft mount as a key factor in the engine detachment. These cracks apparently progressed until the mounting structure could no longer support the engine's weight and thrust loads during takeoff rotation. The hearing scrutinized maintenance oversight practices across the cargo industry. Investigators questioned whether current inspection regimes can adequately detect progressive cracking in critical structural components. The role of outsourced heavy maintenance came under particular examination. Board members pressed witnesses on how operators verify that contractors perform thorough structural inspections, especially on aging widebody freighters that may have accumulated tens of thousands of flight cycles. The investigation continues as the NTSB works toward final conclusions and safety recommendations. The board is expected to issue findings that could affect inspection requirements for the entire MD-11 cargo fleet and potentially other aging freighter types. The structural failure mode identified in this accident may prompt new airworthiness directives targeting pylon attachments and similar critical load-bearing components. Now we turn to the general aviation community, which faces a safety crisis with a string of fatal accidents. The past month has seen an alarming concentration of fatal general aviation accidents across multiple aircraft types and geographic regions. A Cessna 421C broke apart in flight near Wimberley, Texas, after the pilot reported pitot heat failure and pitot tube icing. All 5 people aboard died when the twin-engine aircraft suffered structural failure, scattering debris across a wide area consistent with an in-flight breakup. At Parafield Airport in Adelaide, Australia, a Diamond DA-42 training aircraft crashed during a go-around attempt. The twin-engine trainer struck a hangar and erupted in flames, killing both occupants and injuring 10 people on the ground. The accident underscores how training operations can pose risks beyond the airport boundary. Recent U.S. accidents include a Cessna 172N that crashed during a test flight in Rhode Island, killing a 21-year-old pilot. A Mooney M20J went down in California. A Pipistrel Sinus motor glider crashed in Mississippi. A Beech C-90 King Air operating as an air ambulance crashed in New Mexico, killing 4 people and sparking a wildfire. The international toll includes a Cessna 182 in Guatemala, an F-51D Mustang Warbird in Louisiana, a Cessna A-185F Warden aircraft in Maine, and a Cessna 182T in mountainous California terrain. A Cessna 210M charter flight crashed in Namibia, killing 4. A Piper PA-28 training flight in Ohio killed both the instructor and student. A Fokker DR-1 replica crashed in Texas. These accidents span multiple operational categories but share common risk factors. Weather and icing played a role in several crashes. Training environments proved particularly hazardous, with go-around execution and energy management emerging as critical failure points. Backcountry and mountainous terrain operations claimed multiple aircraft. High workload mission profiles, including medical evacuation and glider towing, added operational complexity that proved fatal. While commercial aviation safety continues to improve, these general aviation accidents remind us that most aviation fatalities still occur in light aircraft operations. Fortunately, our next stories show how safety systems can prevent disasters when properly employed. 3 recent incidents demonstrate how multiple safety barriers prevented potential mid-air collisions at busy U.S. airports. At Newark, 2 United Express regional jets operated by Republic Airways came dangerously close after one aircraft executed a go-around. The crews found themselves on converging flight paths, with separation reportedly down to just a few hundred feet. TCAS resolution advisories commanded immediate vertical maneuvers from both aircraft, averting what could have been a catastrophic collision. Near Los Angeles, Delta Flight 958 drifted left of its assigned instrument departure course after takeoff. The Boeing 737 began converging with SkyWest Flight 231E until air traffic controllers recognized the conflict. Controllers issued urgent opposite direction turn commands that quickly rebuilt safe separation. The Delta crew later acknowledged misinterpreting their heading assignment after departure. A third incident highlighted by aviation safety analyst Captain Steve involved 2 different aircraft using the identical flight number 5383 on the same radio frequency. The duplicate call signs created dangerous confusion as both crews responded to controller instructions. This systematic risk emerges from airline scheduling practices and code share agreements that can inadvertently place similar or identical identifiers in the same airspace. In all 3 cases, no injuries occurred and aircraft landed safely. However, ATC recordings and NTSB tracking data reveal how significantly safety margins eroded before backup systems intervened. These events underscore the aviation industry's defense-in-depth philosophy. When human errors or procedural breakdowns occur, TCAS, alert controllers, and strict communication protocols serve as final barriers against disaster. The frequency of such events at major hubs raises questions about whether increasing traffic density and departure complexity are straining the air traffic system. While these safety systems performed as designed, each incident represents what safety experts call normalized deviation, situations where the system operates closer to its limits than intended. Finally, let's examine major strategic shifts reshaping the aviation industry. Boeing has received FAA approval to increase 737 MAX production from 42 to 47 aircraft per month. The higher production rate comes after the manufacturer satisfied regulatory requirements for quality system reforms. Boeing expects to stabilize at the new production level later this year, marking a significant milestone in the MAX program's recovery from its grounding and subsequent manufacturing quality issues. Lufthansa Group is accelerating its integration of ITA Airways after exercising options to increase its stake to 90%. The German carrier plans to shift ITA from SkyTeam to Star Alliance, positioning Rome Fiumicino as a major southern European hub. ITA will join the A++ transatlantic joint venture with United Airlines and Air Canada, significantly altering competitive dynamics for U.S. to Italy routes. Hydrogen aviation pioneer ZeroAvia announced that founder Val Miftakov has stepped down as chief executive officer while remaining on the company's board. The leadership transition comes as ZeroAvia maintains its 2027 certification goal for the ZA600 fuel cell propulsion system. The change raises questions about whether the company can maintain its aggressive timeline for bringing hydrogen electric aircraft to market. The General Aviation Manufacturers Association released first quarter 2026 delivery data showing mixed market conditions. Total GA shipments rose from 815 to 877 aircraft year over year. Total billings increased 19% to $6.85 billion. Business jet and piston aircraft deliveries drove the gains, while turboprop and helicopter shipments softened. These developments illustrate an industry undergoing simultaneous transformation across multiple fronts. Manufacturing quality oversight, airline alliance structures, alternative propulsion technologies, and market demand patterns are all shifting in real time. The Boeing production increase signals regulatory confidence has partially returned. The ITA integration reshapes European aviation networks. ZeroAvia's transition tests, whether hydrogen aviation can move from promise to reality. And GA market data reveals a two-speed recovery with jets and training aircraft outpacing other segments. Also in aviation news this week, a Eurowings A320 encountered severe wake turbulence from an Emirates A380 over Bosnia, causing a rapid descent and injuring 5 people. The Airbus narrowbody hit the wake while climbing near flight level 380, approximately 7.6 nautical miles behind the Super Heavy. 4 passengers and 1 flight attendant required hospitalization after the aircraft landed in Cologne. Investigators have secured the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder. The incident has renewed questions about whether current wake turbulence separation standards adequately protect aircraft trailing A380s in dense European airspace. 2 recent United Airlines flights diverted due to security concerns. A Rome to Chicago flight diverted to Ireland after a passenger reported a Bluetooth device broadcasting a name containing the word bomb. No explosives were found following full security sweeps of the aircraft and luggage. Separately, United Flight 2005 diverted to Madison due to an unruly passenger who was detained upon landing. While online speculation referenced transponder code 7500, officials have not confirmed any attempted hijacking. Both incidents demonstrate how ambiguous threats trigger costly but necessary security responses. A Beech C-90 King Air medical transport crashed in New Mexico's Capitan Mountains on May 14th, killing 2 pilots and 2 flight nurses. The medevac flight from Roswell to Sierra Blanca Regional Airport lost radio and radar contact before crashing in remote wilderness. The impact sparked a wildfire, creating a secondary emergency for responders. NTSB and FAA investigators have opened probes into the accident, which adds to concerning statistics about air ambulance operations conducted at night in mountainous terrain. Paraguayan authorities detained a 21-year-old pilot who previously won a Hawker 400 XP in a Mr. Beast challenge after seizing 261.6 kilograms of high-THC marijuana from a private aircraft arriving from Miami. The drugs were valued at approximately $3.6 million. 4 others were also detained in Asunción. Prosecutors have not confirmed whether the aircraft involved was the YouTube competition prize jet or the pilot's current legal status. Despite social media claims he has been cleared. Safety analysts are warning against non-standard VFR pattern entries at non-towered airports. The so-called teardrop entry, which involves descending tight turns directly into downwind legs, does not exist in FAA terminology. These informal maneuvers leave arriving aircraft belly up to establish traffic, reducing visual acquisition and increasing collision risk. FAA guidance prescribes crossing overhead at least 500 feet above pattern altitude, continuing 2 miles beyond, then joining via a standard 45-degree entry. Aviation heritage and modern marketing converged this week across multiple fronts. A public demonstration of a Pratt & Whitney R2800 double WASP engine start showcased the 18-cylinder radial that powered World War II aircraft and post-war airliners. Vulture's Row Aviation reported progress on its rare F4U1 birdcage Corsair restoration, completing critical supercharger and cooling system integration. Meanwhile, American, Qatar Airways, Iberia, Aerolíneas Argentinas, and Titan Airways unveiled special World Cup liveries ahead of the 2026 tournament, transforming aircraft into flying billboards for the global event. That's This Week in Aviation. For the latest aviation news, visit aviatordb.com. I'm Mark Preston. We'll see you next week.